Welcome once again to the Long Only Podcast. This is Doug.
This is Gerry.
And this is what has become my regular podcast in shirt, as I'm noticing from past videos. So
Doug doesn't change his shirt, but maybe once every month.
Once every month, yes.
That's what happens when you have 6 kids. You forget that you have to change shirts.
They get all the clothes. I've got a kid who is basically grown about 6 inches in the last 6 months.
That hurts.
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't take after Doug because I think he's past you now, hasn't he?
He's definitely past me.
Yeah.
He's definitely
But Doug's wife is a tall lady. So
she's tall for her size. Yes, she is. Yeah, she's on the tall side for a female.
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to say male, female still?
I think.
On this show.
I'll have to check. On this show, it's safe. We're in a safe space here, Doug.
We're in a safe space, definitely. So, yes. All right. I'm just checking my thingamajigs. Just a moment.
Do check your thingamajigs, please.
All right. I think we're all right. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, Gerry, let's get started on the first topic today. We've got three topics, one of which is a bonus topic that you haven't heard. It's a little story that is a callback to our last episode on experts. So,
okay, go.
It's a story from my first. I enjoy telling it. I think you'll enjoy hearing it.
Good.
All right. So, starting off, we're going to talk about the IPO market. Gerry,
I thought you were gonna do your expert.
I'll say that.
Okay.
I'll save it for the end.
All right.
So
IPOs
coming back.
Not yet.
You don't think so?
I mean, there hasn't been any like onslaught, a plethora of IPOs for sure, but it feels like maybe things might be starting to percolate. And I've heard this from a number of different, colleagues and sort of insiders in our world. Another area, and maybe this is a sign that the IPO market might starting to pick up, is definitely more interest in late stage venture capital, which usually I think is a precursor to an IPO push. So yeah, I think, look, just by the fact that we haven't yet seen, like I said, a significant increase in the number of IPOs, it's feeling like they're gearing up.
Okay.
It's definitely, and I think regardless, I guess today, now you know what day it is, but CPI came out maybe a little hotter than expected. They said, as the term is they're using now, but I think inflation is moderating and interest rates will likely come down at some point this year. Even the Fed has said that. So I think all of that bodes well for the overall market, and that will bode well for the IPO market, and that bodes well for what comes first, late stage venture capital, and then maybe eventually even early stage venture capital will start to really come into focus again. But yeah, I think overall we're getting the beginning green shoots of a more healthy IPO market, which isn't saying a lot from where we were when I first came into this business in the next 15 years after that, which was just a veritable onslaught of companies being created. I really wish we could get back to that, but it's going to take more than just favorable interest rate environment and favorable inflation environment. And we've talked ad nauseum about what it's going to take to do that. I'm not going to say it can never happen, but we're still a ways from that. But any sign of a pickup in new companies coming out and being formed, I think is going to be a good thing.
Well, why do you think that's a good thing, though? That may be a loaded question, but there are people who might remember when the IPO market was a little oversaturated, and some people might associate that with the heady internet days. So in your opinion, what is qualitatively good about a healthy IPO market? Is it just because that way acquisition by a monolith isn't the only option out for a lot of these innovative companies?
That's for sure. That's one of them. I think I think a lot of folks don't know that most employment happens in smaller companies. The big giant companies are not the ones that are, driving the employment machine, if you will. Yes, they're big and they have lots of people working for them, but compared to the smaller business market, the broader market for small and mid-sized businesses, those are by far the biggest employers out there. And you need to, in order to innovate, you need to have that vibrant capital markets. And I think that's something, just as a side, it seems to be popular these days to trash the capital markets. And what I mean by that is, Wall Street bad guy. And heck, we've done it. And there's reasons a lot of times where fingers need to be pointed at the big Wall Street banks and what have you. But we have to be really careful not to demonize so much that we destroy what is probably the greatest capital markets market in the history of the world, in the United States and in the Western civilization, if you will. Our vibrant capital markets are very significant it's a significant reason why we've had such great economic success in our country for its existence. The last thing in the world we should be doing is tearing that down and tearing it apart. And so I'm not saying that it's completely torn down by any means, but there's lots of trashing of capital markets, if you will. And I think that's not a good thing. So as much as I like to, criticize criticize Wall Street where it's deserved, it still is a marvel. And the reason we are so successful is we have this institutional capital market that is just second to none in the world. It's why third world nations often have such difficulty getting out of the mud, is because they don't have that institutional infrastructure. It's absolutely crucial for the success of an economy, and we have that here. We have to be careful not to put that in the demonization category to the extent that we hinder it in such a way that hurts us. And I think sometimes we, certainly when it comes to the regulatory environment, that I'm going to say that hurts it. So yeah, a little bit beyond the IPO market, but and whether or not we have a healthy IPO market, but I think it's still important to point that out.